Boom, shakalaka boom. You tuned in to the free range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts right now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards, coming at you L-I-V-E live on 103.9 FM, the 50,000 watt flamethrower here on a chilly Thursday morning. We need a flamethrower outside. I've been wanting to buy one of those flamethrowers I keep seeing. I clicked on one flamethrower on my news feed on Facebook, and now every other ad is flamethrowers. Do I need a flamethrower? No, I don't. Do I want a flamethrower? Yes, I do. And they've gotten rather affordable handheld ones for about $150. Hook a little propane tank to it, and you are off to the races. All joking aside, I do need a propane flame-throwing or heat-throwing heater for my garage. It's getting chilly out there working out. All right, if you were watching on the Mazda of Jackson live stream, you may notice that we are now actually officially in stunning 4K. We got some new cameras around here yesterday, thanks to yours truly for hooking them up. And I have to say, the color is phenomenal. I don't know if it looks as good on y'all's screens as it does on mine, but the red, the white, the blue on Old Glory here behind me is popping, son. Popping. That Men's Health of Mississippi banner behind me, popping. Looks better on camera than it does in real life. Usually it's the other way around. You can check out the Mazda Jackson live stream, jump in the live chat with everybody at Save JXN on Facebook, YouTube, and X, and over on Rumble at Clay Edwards Show. Shout out to my boy Justin out there at Martin's Livingston with the $4.99 super chat. Says, good morning to the head cracker in charge and everybody in the chat. Hope everyone is having a good morning so far. It is a chilly morning out there, that's for sure. It's going to warm up today. It's warmed up every day enough to where you don't need a jacket and you can actually cut the air conditioning on in your vehicle. But unfortunately, doing the morning show, I never get to sleep late enough to enjoy it not being freezing cold in the mornings. And this is a change for me too, man, because I used to love it being cold. Like, I would walk around outside and I'd drive my windows down when it was cold. I was a weirdo. I still sleep with it ice cold in the house, don't get me wrong. But there's a difference in sleeping with it on 60 degrees under the covers than it is actually having to go get in your truck after it's been cold all night and wait for it to warm up. Because that 2017 Raptor does not have remote start. I'm going to have to get remote start added to that thing because this is just too much. Just too much. All right, so coming up in hour two, we've got an awesome guest that I'm really excited to talk to. We got Brad White, the director for MDOT, is going to be in here with me. And before y'all roll your eyes like Clay, what could be interesting of talking about MDOT? MDOT has finally got one of the biggest pains in my butt fixed. They've got all the streetlights fixed in the I-20, I-55, 220 corridor where all the crackheads and meth heads keep stealing all the copper out of the lights. And you had to run through the most dangerous parts of Jackson completely in the dark. If you're coming from Rankin County, as soon as you come over the bridge, the Pearl River Bridge, it goes dark through the whole Valley Street, Ellis Avenue corridor there, or Bobby Rush Boulevard. And then you merge north onto I-220, and you got to pass the Metro and Clinton Boulevard and all the way up to 49 here, Medgar Evers Boulevard, whatever you want to call it. And there'll be no lights. Like I said, this is one of the most highest crime-rated areas in the city, in the state, in the United States. And you had to go through it in the dark. They finally got all that situated for the most part. We're going to talk to them about what they did, why it took 5 years, at minimum 5 years to get it done. And I'm really excited to talk to Brad about some of the big projects going on around here. What can we expect to change? Are we going to get any interstates paved, widened, new bridges built, and just all the work that they've done at MDOT. So be a good evergreen interview that we can play later in the holidays when I take a day or two off. So, but first, y'all know me. Sometimes I can't resist. I've been wanting to talk about sports all week, but I didn't want to bore y'all with just normal sports talk. And then the University of Michigan and their head coach gave us a great gift last night. They did. Look, everybody ain't built for a snow bunny. Let's just start there. Clay, what's a snow bunny? Snow bunny's a hot white girl that likes black guys. There are some out there that aren't beached whales, that aren't snow hogs, that like black guys. But the black guys are usually NBA players, millionaires, stuff like that. And the University of Michigan head coach, Sherrone Moore, who was, of course, never mind. I thought I had done something bad. Thought I had closed out my live stream. Let me get this pulled up. Sherrone Moore, who was married, by the way, to not a snow bunny. He was a family man, but we got to say allegedly, but I think when you hear the rest of his actions, you're going to know that there was no allegedly to it. Allegedly, he was having an affair with a staffer, which is against school policy, even for the head coach of Michigan football. I wonder, was he a Michigan man? It feels very Michigan man-y. Anyway, he was having a relation with a staffer, little young white girl. And, well, I guess some evidence came to light that it was more than just rumor, because they did investigate this back in the fall and were not able to come up with the evidence that they needed to fire him then, because they would have, in fact, fired him then, because this is a big no-no, because they can fire him with cause. Because, see, Sherrone Moore was only hired because of Jim Harbaugh leaving and all the NCAA investigations and all this, that, and the other. It was going to be hard for them to get a big-name coach to come to Ann Arbor after the whole Jim Harbaugh debacle. And, I don't know if you guys remember that. They got in trouble for stealing plays or having a coach in the stand that was stealing the plays and all that nonsense, which I had no problem with it. I just thought it was good gamesmanship. And I'm not a Michigan fan by any means. Again, I didn't have a problem with it. I thought coaches should be allowed to do that. If the school's got the money to send a coach to all these other games and they want to sit in the stands and learn the plays and steal the plays and all, so be it. That's just ball. That's ball, son. That's gamesmanship. Don't get mad. Don't hate the play. I hate the game. So I never had a problem with that. But, the NCAA did. Ohio State did. Some of these other teams that they played, they had a big problem with it. Again, I didn't. I liked it, to be honest with you. If you ain't cheating, you ain't racing. Old NASCAR thing there. Rubbing is racing. Cheating is racing. So, you try to push it up against the limits and see how far you can push it without getting in trouble. Anyway, I digress. He was a diversity hire because they knew that, A, we can hire a black guy, winner, chicken dinner. That'll help us out with the national media. And B, he was already on the staff. We ain't got to pay him but $5 million a year versus like the 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 a lot of these other bigger name coaches are getting at these programs. And he can take the heat if any suspensions come down. And they did. He was suspended a couple games to start this past season for his involvement in it. And it's been a pain in the butt. It has. And he almost beat Michigan this year. Anyway, well, no, they kind of blew him out. But he beat Michigan last year. Beat Ohio State last year, I mean. He almost beat Ohio State this year. And they said, I think he still won, 9, 10 games and was going to go to a bowl game. So they're in bad shape there. But so they were able to get rid of him with calls so they don't have to pay him. He was in the second year of a 5-year, $5-point-something million a year contract, $30 million deal all in. He was 2 years into it, and he fumbles the bag over a snow bunny. So, but that's not where the story stops. No. That is not where the story stops. We're going to show you the snow bunny here. We're going to show you the snow bunny because, look, this girl's hot. And come to find out, allegedly, her dad is a executive for the Chicago Bears. If you're watching on the live stream, you see the photo I just pulled up. She's the hot blonde on the right, holding the Michigan paper there with the brunette friend. She's the blonde. Her name was Paige Shiver. She's a staffer with whom Sherrone Moore allegedly had the illicit affair with. She has recently switched her Instagram account to private. All right, so we got that there. I wanted to show y'all what she looked like so you can kind of get a visual here of her. Let me get my notes pulled up. I got some more information because that is not where the story starts. That's where it begins, because it got really bad for Sherrone as the day went on yesterday. He decided to make a few more bad decisions as the day unfolded. Okay, so he was married to a snow bunny too. Thank you, Thomas, for sending me that. So when I went to bed last night, or I went to bed early, like 10 o'clock. So this was all still kind of really starting to come out, and I hadn't found all my information yet. And I slept to the ever last minute this morning. So I'm kind of finding some things here in live time. But I tell you what, let's go to break real quick. When we come back, I'll have the rest of my information pulled up here. And we're going to peel this onion back. And we're going to discuss this man fumbling the bag. He got $10 million of a $30 million deal. And he pissed away $20 million. At least, because he would have probably got an extension. Pissed away $20 million over a side piece. The culture is rotten, my friends. The culture is rotten. So many of them got side pieces. I got my main girl. I got my side girl. My girl got a girlfriend. Chevy Blue like Whirlwind. That's Young Dro. That's Young Dro. For those out there that know, you know. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. You ain't heard nothing yet. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, guys, I'm sorry I don't have everything ready when I sit down. You know, so Chip Matthews does his show in here till 7 o'clock. And then I have 7 minutes to sit down, redo everything, get everything pulled up. And just being a one-man army here, it's hard to do it all before I get seated. So I'm trying to do it in live time. I'm trying to talk. I'm trying to read your comments. So that's why I don't have everything pulled up and ready already. Before there was another live show in here in the 7 o'clock hour, in the 6 o'clock hour, I was able to get here 15, 20 minutes early, have everything ready, laid out, all professional. Now I have to kind of piecemeal it together as we go. So just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not as unprofessional as it looks, but look, no excuses. It is what it is. I got everything pulled up, and we are ready when we come back from the break here. Again, Justin, thank you for the super chat this morning, my brother. And we're going to dive into this, man. And I have angered the local Snow Bunnies Union, too. I have angered the local Snow Bunnies Union because, well, they think that everything's about them, even though there's a difference in a snow bunny and a snow hog. But I digress. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back to the Snow Bunnies Show of Choice. This is the Clay Edwards Show here live on 103.9 FM WYAB in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. Guys, are you out there chasing them snow bunnies? Do you want a snow bunny? Then you need to take advantage of the complimentary hors d'oeuvres, complimentary testosterone screenings over at Men's Health in Mississippi. Text Clay to 601 800 530 76. That's the wrong number. That's lead code. 601 800 5130. Those numbers are eerily similar, aren't they? Text Clay 601 800 5130. And they're going to get you hooked up with a complimentary testosterone screening. And we're going to get them testosterone numbers up. You'll be out there chasing snow bunnies before you know it. You'll be swatting snow bunnies away once they figure out you're on the TRT. They know. They know about it. The Snow Bunnies Union of America know about the benefits of TRT, and it's one of the questions they ask. Are you on TRT? Yes, I am. come here. You're coming with me. Anyway, all joking aside, but I'm not joking. I'm being serious. I'm just being serious in a funny way that sounds like a joke. Good things happen to guys that go do the TRT, and they got you covered at Men's Health in Mississippi. Ladies, they got you covered too. Need to lose some weight? Check them out. They got the compounded semaglutide there. You can text Clay also and just select weight loss when they text you back. And you'll save money and get to do it under the care of a physician, not just some internet nonsense. All right, we're live here, as mentioned in the previously mentioned Men's Health Mississippi studios. The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. 769-241-1944. All right, so we're talking about Sherrone Moore, the fired Michigan head coach. Culture rot. Had him a side piece. Had him a pretty little girl, too. Had him a pretty wife. Now, I will say the side pieces, if we do want a side-by-side comparison, the side piece is a 9.5. The home piece is an 8.5. High 7. At least from the pictures I saw. But, I'm sure she would clean up better if she knew she was in a competition to keep her man. So we found out that Sherrone had been arrested by one police department there in Michigan and transferred over to another. Well, we have an update. This is from Scott Hughes, CBB. Not sure who he's with there, but it says an update. Ex-Michigan head coach Sherrone Moore was detained and arrested after breaking into the home of the staffer he had an affair with. Moore threatened to kill the staffer and himself, and he's currently in protective custody. That is wild, man. That is wild. Let's see here if I have some more information, because I felt like I had something else on this last night, because apparently he threatened to kill himself. Well, this is where Dave Portnoy reposted this. This is from Brett McMurphy. It says, from Michigan, Sherrone Moore has been terminated with cause effective immediately following a University of Michigan investigation. Credible evidence was found that Coach Moore engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. This constitutes clear violation. I thought I saved everything that I had last night. Let me check my cell phone real quick. Maybe I screenshot it. But he had a knife up against his throat, threatening to slit his own throat. That's what I was trying to put my fingers on here real quick. See if I have that. Yeah, here we go. No. Anyway, just y'all gonna have to trust me on it. Apparently, he did in fact try to slit his own throat, also, and had to be arrested. The authorities were called. Man, that's wild. Juicy got him whooped. Everybody thinks they want a snow bunny until it's time to do snow bunny stuff. Everybody wants them a hot little white girl. Everybody ain't built to handle that box. Everybody ain't built for it. Rumors on the interwebs suggested that maybe she is pregnant. Which that would add a layer of complications to this thing, wouldn't it? Could you imagine? I mean, is this the biggest bag fumble in history? This guy was the head coach, arguably one of the top 5 jobs in the country, inarguably one of the top 10. I don't think anybody would argue that Michigan's a top 10 job in the country, even in this day and age. Just won a national championship 2-3 years ago. This guy gets gifted this job as his first head coaching job as Jim Harbaugh goes to the pros. Now, he inherited a little bit of a mess, but nonetheless, they beat Ohio State his first year, and Ohio State goes on to win the national championship. They win 10 games, 9 or 10 games his second year as head coach. I mean, he's safe. They're not going to fire this guy. He's at minimum going to get to ride out this contract because they don't want to fire the black guy. and he fumbles the bag over a side piece. I mean, this is eerily familiar with the Hugh Freeze stuff at Ole Miss, isn't it? Now, I'm still not convinced that Hugh Freeze didn't fall on the sword. And look, I don't think Hugh Freeze is a good person. I think he is. Anybody who is a preacher and something else, I have reservations. Reverend Hugh Freeze. I'm still not convinced that Freeze was the one that was buying prostitutes for himself. I think that those prostitutes, from rumors I heard, were for recruits and recruits' dads. Because I heard some crazy stuff that was going on in some of those hotel rooms. So, but maybe he was having a good time. But we do know that he was allegedly having an affair with a girl, the volleyball coach or something like that, or a volleyball player, a CrossFit coach. There was something that I think Hugh Freeze had a CrossFit coach or something living there at the facility with him because he'd been kicked out of his house. So Freeze fumbled the bag over a side piece one way or another. I mean, he had that thing rolling at Ole Miss too. I mean, they would have never fired him if he had just kept on winning 8-9 games a year. Anyway, but Freeze at least didn't go to jail. This cat took a really bad situation and poured some gasoline on it and say, oh, you think that's bad? Hold my beer. I'm going to show my bunny how much I love her. I'm going to threaten to kill her and myself. That'll show her. If I can't have you, nobody can. All the while, I got a wife and kid at home. Guys, don't get married. Can we have this conversation? Don't get married if you ain't through being a dog. Women, snow bunnies out there, listen to me. If you marry a successful man, you need to make real sure that you understand the proposition. You need to make real sure that you understand the proposition. Or are you just part of the deal to complete the image? Or does he really love you? Because we see more and more these rich athletes and whatnot, black, white, this ain't a race thing. You're just part of the deal. And I think a lot of women are okay with it. I mean, you marry an insta-thought. Now, if you're on the flip side, you marry an insta-thought. You understand that you married an insta-thought, and it is what it is. And for those that don't know what an insta-thought is, a thought is short for that hoe over there. And insta means they're these models, these alleged, air quotes in the studio, models on Instagram. And these athletes will slide in their DMs, and they'll fly them out here and fly them out there, and some of them will get wrapped up with them, have kids with them, marry them and stuff, and it's just a paycheck. Especially, it's really bad in the NBA. The NBA players are the absolute world's worst about this, and I don't know, man, it's rough. It's rough out there, and I don't feel sorry for any of them. Like I don't feel sorry for a single one of these people. You made these decisions. You made your bed. Sleep in it. Let's check out some of the chats here on the Mazda Jackson live stream this morning. I see somebody hating on me, so let's go there first. Said Leon Cunningham says, "Let me ask you a question. What did the red, white, and man? That's way out of context. Here's one I was looking for. Man, stop blaming it on the culture. Blame it on the person. The culture do not define every person. Every person is different. The culture is the people. But when the people make mistakes, it's not the culture, it's the person. Come on, man. For you to blame a culture, you people don't even have culture at all. Man, we have all the culture. Y'all stole our culture. Y'all stole our culture. What do you mean we don't have culture? What is y'all's culture? Robbing, stealing, killing, drug dealing, riding around the stolen Dodge Chargers? Our culture is building things. building businesses, building countries, winning wars, not killing each other. Again, what was that? What was that? What was that about culture, Leon? What was that about culture? You don't ever hear people talking about rock and roll culture made me go cheat on my wife. Rock and roll culture has me out here in my 40s still cheating on my wife. Rock and roll culture has me out here robbing, stealing, killing, drug dealing. Idiots, man. Absolute idiots. It is, the culture's rotten. It's like fruit from a poisonous tree. You know the culture. You know what I'm talking about. All the men got side pieces. It's like an agreed upon thing. It's like an agreed upon thing that you're going to be my wife, but my side piece might be more important. The wife is more of like the business partner for the taxes, to raise the kids, all that stuff. But the side piece is the real girlfriend. I just watched the Diddy doc. You ain't telling me nothing. You ain't telling me nothing. I just watched the Diddy doc. Kim Porter was the wife. Cassie was the girlfriend. Cassie got to walk the red carpets with Diddy. And Kim knew. That's the culture right there. Let's take a break. We'll be right back here on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by Big River Ballistics. Get out there this week and take advantage of the gun range. Whether you're doing just pistol training or you want to take advantage of the long range, 1,150 yards. That's right. Hone in them skills up to 1,150 yards out there. Did you know you can go out there and rent fully automatic machine guns and shoot them there on site? You can also rent really cool other guns as well. And if you're a first responder or military, you get 10% off on memberships and everything in the pro shop. Go check them out today, bigriverballistics.com, or see them in person out there in Morton at 2364 McCurdy Road. Again, the website, bigriverballistics.com. I want to keep this conversation going for a second about the Snow Bunny stuff. And coming up in hour 2, we got Brad White with MDOT. He is waiting for me to let him in now. So I'm going to do one more segment, and then we're going to let Brad in. But with that said, I want to circle back to the Snow Bunny thing and the culture and the rock and roll. Because everybody in the comments on the Mazda Jackson live stream is like, yeah, but what about sex, drugs, and rock and roll? Yeah, look, we grow out of that, right? I mean, I like to think as a former sex, drug, and rock and roller that you grow out of, at minimum, the drugs part of that. Like us 50-year-old rock fans, like we don't live it like it's a lifestyle. There's no rock and roll culture that we're out here pretending to partake in. Hip-hop culture, different story. Big different story. You know, it's just this, it melts your brain. Rap music will melt your brain. And it beats into you infidelity. It beats into you side pieces. That's infidelity. Drug use, alcohol abuse, all these things. Now, all the things I've taken in part, I have done my fair share in partaking in. The only thing I haven't done is partaking in is infidelity. I mean, I did have an affair with a married woman in my early 20s, and it's something I deeply regret to this day. And I've apologized to that guy every opportunity I've gotten, and he's accepted my apology. And he's moved on and married to somebody else now. But, you know, and that was very public. I'm not telling you anything that ain't out there already. You know, when I had the Crazy 8, you know, I did something really stupid, and I paid a very valuable price, or I learned a very valuable lesson, we'll say, doing that. And I've never done that. I've never cheated on anybody else, and, you know, just a bad deal. You live and learn. It ain't all cracked up. It ain't what it's all cracked up to be. But listening to hip hop music and all that stuff, you just think, oh man, it is what it is. It don't matter. But it does matter. It does matter. It absolutely matters, and I would never do it again. I've lived with the guilt of that my entire adult life. So, let's see here. Looking back through the comments, the same guy says, you can't speak for everybody. You can only speak for yourself. Are you speaking for everybody? That's Leon there. Leon, that doesn't make any sense. And no, as far as like when I say the culture, Leon, if you're new here, we say this all the time. If I'm not talking to you, if you know what I'm saying isn't about you, then it ain't about you. If you are a good, faithful, married man and you ain't out here running the streets, you ain't out here cheating on your wife, you ain't got a side piece, your girl ain't got a girlfriend, Chevy blue like whirlwind, then I ain't talking to you. When I say that all the time, we talk bad about the TikTok nurses out here making dances, TikTok dancing videos during COVID, while they're all screaming and shouting at us, wear your mask, take the vaccine. But first, watch me do this TikTok dance while I'm trying to tell you it's the deadliest pandemic in history. But that doesn't mean there ain't a bunch of good nurses out there, and we ain't talking about them. But we're talking about the TikTok nut jobs. Teachers. There are a lot of good teachers out there. There's also a lot of absolute bat crap crazy LGBTQ, trans, flag, flying nut jobs. Right here in central Mississippi. You ain't got to go far to find them. You can throw a rock into a crowd and it'll bounce off 3 pro-trans public school teachers right here in central Mississippi. But when I talk about them, you know who I'm not talking about? The good ones that just go to work and want to teach kids about things that don't involve sex. I was recently out at a local public school getting a tour of their Votech Center, and the audio video department in it was phenomenal. I mean, it was like state of the art. I mean, I was like, wow, I wish I had this in my studio. And I looked over behind the teacher's desk, and there was a damn transgender flag hanging in the classroom. Why? Why is that hanging in the classroom? But I didn't get mad at I didn't get mad at the random English teacher because the audio video teacher has got a trans flag flying. All right, well, the audio video teacher here is a nut job and probably needs to be on a list and needs to be watched because they're probably wanting to have, I would say, inappropriate relationships with minors. That would be my first assumption, that if I walk into a classroom and there's a pro-trans flag flying, that teacher is probably trying to have an inappropriate relationship with a minor, with a student. It would not surprise me one bit. Let's get their phone and go through it. So, Leon, to answer your question, no, I don't judge everybody by somebody else's actions. But when the culture preaches this, when the culture rewards this, yeah, I'm going to talk about it. Yeah, I'm going to talk about it. Sometimes you got to throw a wide net to catch fish. We throw a wide net around here. I'm following up on Leon. And Leon, I'm not trying to pick on you, man. But we're going to debate this for a second. So Leon says, I'm a hip-hop fan. Grew up on hip-hop. I grew up on R&B. I grew up on gospel. I listened to a little rock and roll. But when you say culture, you were talking to me. Well, look, black folks don't own the rights to the word culture, for one thing. We all have culture. And there's culture and there's culture right. And what's going on, if you're new here, we talk about this a lot, what's going on here in Jackson, Mississippi, and in urban black culture is rotten. It just is. 85% of black kids right now are growing up in single mother homes without a father. Brother, that's culture rot. That is, if 85% of your children are growing up without a father in the home, that's culture rot. Period. There ain't no other way to explain it. That is a culture that is rotten. And look, it ain't just hills and mountains better over here in white culture. I think 30% of our kids are growing up without a father in the home, which is getting higher and higher. But right now, I can still go to a gas station in Rankin County without getting shot with a bullet that was intended for somebody else. You know, we don't have a nickname for our youth over here. Our youth over here, we don't call them YNs. It's not just internationally known that our youth are out here robbing, stealing, killing, drug dealing at will. Out here running carjacking schemes where they bump into cars. The people get out and they carjack them, shoot them, whatever. I mean, y'all talk about this openly. Y'all just don't like it when we talk about it. I follow a ton of black culture accounts on social media. And y'all all discuss these very things that I'm discussing. You just don't like it because I don't look like you. That's the only reason you're piping up and saying anything right now is because I'm the white guy talking about the problems in black culture. I wish that black culture would fix itself. I wish more people in black culture would step up and talk about it. Instead of getting mad at me talking about it, I wish y'all would talk about it and start fixing the problems in your community. Because what's going on, it does affect all of us. I mean, we have forfeited the entire capital city to y'all. Because nobody wants to go there anymore. Because the YNs and the OGs have destroyed it. There's very few places anybody feels safe going to Jackson anymore, even with the Capitol Police and the CCID and all of that. That's a damn shame. That ain't Tyler, Jason, and Justin I'm worried about when I go to Jackson. It's the kids that got 4 and 5 vowels in their first name that I'm worried about when I go to Jackson. That's culture rot. Go to WLBT.com right now or any other local news outlet. Hit crime and stroll through the stories and tell me who's committing all the crimes. Tell me that's not a cultural problem. It's okay, I'll wait. If I didn't have a guest about to walk in the studio, I'd pull it up and do it with you right now. It's a culture problem. Fix your culture. Fix the culture. Save the people. Fix the culture. Save the people. Is it a free the land, free the people? I sat here and watched a rotten-ass mayor for the last 8 years, Chakwayan Lumumba, free the land, free the people, yap and complain and talk about black culture for the last 8 years and his people and black this and black that. Don't get mad when we do it. That's why we call this reality radio. Because it's reality, it's truth. I'm not a racist, I'm a realist. Don't tell me don't believe my lying eyes. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB. We got just a minute or two here before our top of the hour break where I'm going to bring in Brad White with MDOT. We're going to talk about some of the good stuff going on over there. Get my screen pulled back up right here. I added these new cameras in the system, and it's making the computer go slower and slower, but we'll get it all figured out here as we go. But fun show today. We're going to pivot. That's that culture rot topic. I know that's something I can talk about for days on end because it's just like a texter said. We've reached a point where the statistics are undeniable. You can't argue statistics. And because we've been forced to ignore them for so long, now when you talk about it, and now that we don't care if you call us racist anymore because y'all have just beaten that word half to death, it's almost a badge of honor to get called a racist nowadays if we're being completely honest with it. I mean, you ain't spoke the truth today if you ain't been called a racist 3 times by lunch. You know, like I say, we just don't care anymore. And it just got them mad. It's got the culture folks mad that the rest of us are just slap damn tired of it. Take care of your kids. Raise your kids. Stop having kids that you don't got no intentions on raising. And that'll fix a big old portion of this. Unfortunately, there's 2 to 3 generations completely lost that are going to end up dead, in jail, or just living a lawless Somali pirate lifestyle that we'll have to reckon with over the next 30, 40 years till they all die or go to jail. And that's just unfortunate, but that's where we're at as a society. But if nothing else, they're going to quit stealing this damn copper out of these streetlights. That we got done. We'll be right back. Boom goes La Dynamite. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the RADIO. This is the Clay Edwards Show, coming at you live here on the 50,000 watt flamethrower, 103.9 FM WYAB. I need that flamethrower outside to warm it up a little bit in the morning times, but again, we addressed that in the first hour. If I buy a flamethrower, I'll get in trouble because I will start burning things that don't need to be burned. We're here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. This segment, before we get started with our guest here, this segment is brought to you by our friends over at, how about our good friends over at A1 Gear and Auto, right there, Highway 49 South, Florence, Mississippi. Justin and his team, man, you got any problems with the vehicles? About to go take a winter road trip, Christmas road trip, to go see some family somewhere? Got a noise you can't quite understand? Got a roaring in those front bearings of that Nissan Altima? Those hubs roaring? Swing by. Let them check it out today, man. They can fix anything. The only thing they don't work on is diesel engines. Now, you need to put brakes on your diesel truck? They got you. Want to put a lift kit on it? They got you. Need some rear end, front end work on the 4-wheel drive? They got you. They specialize in ring and pinion. They just ain't going to work on the inner mechanics of the diesel engine. They'll refer you to somebody who can. But otherwise, anything else you need, they got you covered at A1 Gear and Auto. And as I said, they specialize in your ring and pinion. It's hunting season. I know you guys going to get out there. You're going to tear stuff up, going to find them big bucks you killed and all that stuff. Get it over to A1. Let them get it taken care of for you. All right, that's A1 Gear and Auto. Fixed right on time. Fixed right on budget every time. A1 Gear and Auto. Highway 49 South, Florence, Mississippi. All right, man. Here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness Mississippi studios, I got my friend, Mr. Brad White with MDOT joining us. Brad, good morning, brother.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Man, look, been a long time in the making. Finally a chance to get you on the show. Yeah. Excited about that. How's everything going over there at MDOT?
Going well. We've had a real productive year. I think each year we've kind of broken the record before in awarding contracts to get more highways and bridges repaired and built, and we're enjoying what we're doing and hopefully making the state better in the process.
Look, I've noticed being on the roads that a lot of stuff is getting done. I've noticed coming through the stack every day, I know it's been a little bit of a pain in the butt.
I'm sure it's been a big pain in a lot of places. That's the one thing about what we do is everything we do is right in the middle of where people are trying to drive and carry out and conduct the normal stages of life. But it is progress. Every time you see a barrel, it is progress, and we appreciate the patience from people that we get and appreciate everybody trying to be safe as they go through work zones, because we want all our men and women from the private sector, our contractors, as well as our employees to get back to their families safely.
Man, so that was going to be my next thing right there was I just think about those guys, especially like the big stack overpass, the one that where you go from like 20 east to go 55 north, and it's really narrow there. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. As soon as you come over the bridge, it's just a big one. Right. And it's tight, and I know y'all got it down to one lane, and they're working in that side, and man, cars are coming in there hot.
Right.
And I worry about those work. My mom and daughter ran out of gas there one time, and they were on the top right lane, and we had to get over there and put some gas in the vehicle. And it was just cars coming like this close.
Oh, yeah. We're changing a tire.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've got a monument in front of our building that's full of names of individuals that were part of the MDOT family that unfortunately were hit and lost their life, paid an ultimate sacrifice for working on behalf of the people of Mississippi. And then we've had individuals. We've got one man comes to mind that was hit and fortunately didn't lose his life, but did lose one of his legs in the process. And most of the time it's people that are impatient or not paying attention, reading their phone or something, and barrel through a work zone unknown. Just not long ago we had just right up 49 here north of Yazoo City, we had two of our employees there. Someone entered the work zone, hit one of their trucks. Luckily, it didn't do any permanent damage to either one of them, but it was still a very scary situation.
Have y'all changed the way that y'all set these save these work zones up to take into account for people and their cell phone usage. Like my example would be, maybe we're giving people a 200-300 yard notice now to start slowing down versus a 50-yard notice, maybe like when the barrels start or when the lanes start closing from 2 lanes to 1 lane. I'm kind of making it up as I go. I don't know what you would do. But
it's an ever-changing model, but there's always conversation going along between our private sector partners and our employees, our safety division, our safety officers around the state. Within the department that try to look at how do we continue to improve and try to have as much protection of the individuals that are in the work zone as possible. We work hand in glove with the law enforcement. The legislature's been kind to pass laws that strengthen the penalties for someone that's speeding in a work zone. But ultimately it comes down to the responsibility of the individual driver. And if you've got someone that's driving recklessly, then they can make bad decisions or cause a problem that can really have a life-altering impacts. I mean, not long ago, you had the I-20 was shut down for like over 9 hours, and it was due to somebody being impatient in the work zone, trying to pass where they shouldn't have been, ran into a big truck, ended up having a spill where DEQ had to call hazmat units in, and the whole interstate was shut down.
Up around Brandon?
Yeah. On the other side over here.
Yeah, going east of Brandon there.
Right. And,
yeah.
I mean, so we've had situations where it doesn't only impact the livelihoods of our employees and our partners with the contractors, but I mean, it shuts down commerce, it shuts down people, and it causes people to get impatient even more so in other areas that lead to more accidents. So it is a constant problem. We just ask people to be patient, recognize that when you see an orange barrel, that represents people that are out there personally trying to improve our state's infrastructure system, and ultimately that indicates progress. So,
well, we appreciate the work they do, and as I've gotten older, I've gotten way more patient, and I try to keep that in mind when I go through these areas. I do want everybody to get home safe, and I'm not trying to sound corny or anything like that, but you do as you get a little older, you appreciate life a little bit more.
Right.
And somebody like me that covers the news every day, I'm a little more familiar with these stories of people getting killed and ran over on these sites. And I got friends that work for MDOT.
Right.
Most of them aren't necessarily on the side of the road, but they're engineers and stuff of that nature. But I got friends that work for some of the contractors like that, the asphalt paving guys,
sure,
and stuff like that. One of my good friends, Blake Clark, comes to mind. I forget the company he works for, but he's been doing asphalt for his whole life. Mm-hmm. And I just hear stories from him about people getting hit, and I worry about my friends out there.
Yeah.
That do it.
Yeah, and they may see, for example, an employee that appears not to be doing a whole lot on the side of the road. We have lookouts that have actually helped save people's lives by people that have the walkie-talkies that are able to say someone's coming through and they're not obeying the speed limits. They're barreling through, get ready, and allowing individuals to get out of harm's way before it's too late.
Now, I do have one fun question to ask. That made me think about something. So when we pass by an MDOT site and there's 9 guys surrounding one guy working, what are they doing?
Well, it could be a host of different things. It's either people that specialize in a certain kind of work that's about to happen, that they're waiting on this guy to get them to that point and they change out. You have safety inspectors. You have other people that are watching, testing material.
Supervisors too.
So and you have supervisors. So there's different individuals, both that we hire out through the contractors and that work within us, or that may be members of the Federal Highway Administration staff that are performing a host of different things that go into it.
I love it. You've gotten that question before, hadn't you?
Well, I used to always say that everybody should run for office or conduct an election at least once, because I think going through that process, you find out what all it takes in order to make the sausage. And I think it's made me a less critical person, because sometimes something that doesn't, just because it doesn't make sense, doesn't mean that there's not reasons behind some of the things that we see. And by getting involved, you're able to gain a perspective and some visibility on things that otherwise you can't. So I think that's the reason that our founders had kind of hoped that there would be a lot of civic involvement from people, because not only does that give us the best government, but it also gives us the most informed populace.
I'm glad you said that about the election stuff, because I had never been involved in politics on any level other than going to vote until 6 years ago when I started doing this. And I've ended up becoming friends with politicians that I had no intentions on becoming friends with. And because I always kind of wanted to keep a little distance so I could be more critical and stuff. But once you kind of get involved in the machine and you see how the sausage is made, it is a little more difficult to sit there and be hypercritical of people, like even down at the Capitol, because you understand everything's a negotiation.
That's right.
And you got to give to get, and you're not going to get 100% what you want all the time.
Well, if you really think about it, that's the beauty of what the founding fathers did when they established the United States of America, is they created a system that requires working together and fighting over a compromise in order to make it work, because it's designed to protect us from the whims of the populace and from the whims of any individual that might try to exert influence that we wouldn't want exerted. So when you get into whether it's in Congress or in the state legislature, we have a system that is designed to work only if people come to the table, argue over the different views on policy and philosophy of government, but in the interest of the people, try to come to a conclusion that builds something that can take us into the future. And it's a never-ending process. That's why we have annual sessions. That's why Congress is in session more times than not, so that you can come back and try to continue bettering the product if it's working the way it's supposed to.
Let's take a break. When we come back, the main event, the number one reason I wanted Brad to come out here, other than just kind of chop it up, because I got so much respect for the guy and the work that he's put in, and he's been so kind and courteous to me over the years. I want to talk about the streetlights through Jackson on the interstates, the copper theft, and what's been done to make the interstates more lit up, which equals safe. And because I'm a guy that drives through there every morning, and I have for the last 5 years, and my audience knows I've been ranting and raving about these dang streetlights and the meth heads and crackheads and crooks stealing this copper and making it dark and dangerous for us and our family members through Jackson. There's been some big movement on this, and Brad's going to tell us about it when we return. And if you're watching on the live stream and you notice that Brad's video went away, adding the extra camera was causing some bad lag. So we're down to just one camera while I figure that out. But my guest is in the studio with me. It is Brad White, Director of the Mississippi Department of Transportation. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, here live on WYAB. Coming at you live here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. You can watch the Mazda Jackson live stream at SaveJXN on Facebook, YouTube, and X, and at Clay Edwards Show on Rumble. If you got any questions for my guest, Brad White, the Director of MDOT, you can text them to the Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944, or you can leave a live chat, and I will try to get to those during the next break and get them ready to ask the director and see if he's got any good responses to them. I'm sure he will. Let's see here. You know what, man? We were talking about Martin's during the break, so no sense in not talking about Martin's right now. Y'all be sure to swing by either location today, Martin's downtown or Martin's Livingston, and get one of the best blue plates in the entire state of Mississippi. I'm not sure what the Thursday blue plate is. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Pot roast.
That's right. It's pot roast. Yep. You know, when you work downtown, you know.
Yeah.
You know, look, swing by and grab the pot roast. They got a great assortment of sides. Don't sleep on the hash brown casserole. It's one of my favorites. The fried okra is really good over there, too. And, of course, you can't go wrong with the mashed potatoes, green beans, turnips, all that great stuff. Macaroni and cheese. I mean, they have a wide selection of side items available every day. You're not limited to just 2 or 3. They got 8 or 9 that you can get from over there. So check them out, and, of course, keep them in mind for all your football games and more. That is Martin's downtown and Livingston. All right, man, Brad White. So, Brad, I talked about it. It's the lights along the I-20, 55 stack, and, of course, 220 corridor. Does that have a nickname, that area? Does it have like an official name?
Not to my knowledge. It might with other people.
I call it the Ellis Avenue corridor.
Yeah, we've had a real challenge with the lights in those areas, from individuals stealing the copper wire out of them. Particularly comes to mind as the Waterworks curve. That was the wire was stolen, lights went out, it was repaired one summer, and by November they had been stolen again. And so obviously
those are easy to get to also because of the banks under there, the sandbars up under there and stuff.
And the way that those lights are designed too is they would be off in the daytime, on at night. So individuals would come along during the day and cut the wire, and then come back at night and pull it. So we obviously wasn't going to continue spending good money after bad and just spend it just to have it stolen again. So we have undertaken a partnership of sorts with the City of Jackson, with the Capitol Police, the Sheriff's Office, the Police Department, and others, and trying to look at what options would be available to try to make sure that we have the interstates safely lit and provide that to the motoring public around the area, but at the same time protect the taxpayers and make sure that the money that we're investing in those types of things is protected as best we can. We've have developed some new types of lights that once we put them up, they have a notification component to it, to where we're notified if someone starts tampering or approaching them in a way that would let us know that they're up to no good. It allows us then to notify our friends with the law enforcement who have been good to respond and go out. We're also undertaking a study now to look at other options that could be available, from the design of the lights, the design of the pole, what's encasing the wire, a whole array of what options might be there.
So my first assumption was, wouldn't it just make sense to go solar? But then I think about that and I'm like, man, that never really – the solar lights just aren't as bright. You know, at least maybe the technology's come further. But I have a little solar light on the side of my house, and it's useless as tits on a board. Is that the saying? You know, it's useless. I mean, the light is dim. It serves no – now, granted, this is a $50 light from Home Depot, but I just assumed that scale that up, it still can't be much brighter, because these new LED lights are awesome.
Right.
I just don't know, and they don't pull a whole lot of power, my understanding. Would solar have been sufficient?
I mean, that's the type of thing that we're looking at. I mean, I'm not interested in trying to recreate the wheel. I mean, this is something that other states have faced. So we're trying to determine, you know, what are the options here. All the options have pros and cons. And
move the box up far enough that they're breaking in, that they got to climb a pole to get it. Cameras
are one, you know, other types of things like that. This has been a real priority for Commissioner Willie Simmons. I mean, he's taken it on as something that's very important to him. With the new administration in the city of Jackson, Mayor John Horn, we've seen a great interest on the mayor's part.
What it costs, I don't mean to keep stepping on you here, but what it costs to fix this versus what they're getting is pennies. Not the cost. The cost is, you know, astronomical, but what they're getting is pennies for the copper, for their efforts. You know, it may cost $2-3 million to fix this nonsense, and I mean, that's just to fix it. That's not to fix it right, replace it, and prevent it from happening again. And then they go and get a couple $100 for the copper. And
I can't get into the psychology of a thief. I don't think they care about that. I mean, I think that it's individuals that are just looking for something for free, and they don't care who they take it from.
Oh, sure. I think what I was getting at was more so, it feels like it would behoove us to thief-proof this thing.
Right.
So we're not having to go, like, whatever the investment is, which feels very worth it.
Right.
I don't care what it is, but over time, even if it's $10 million, if we're having to do this every couple of years and it fixes it, let's find a way to fix it.
Well, leaving the lights off is not an option, and continue to put them up in a fashion that they continue to have the wire stolen out of them, that's not an option either.
Right.
So that's what we're in the process of doing now, something we're trying to do as expeditiously as possible. We have a lighting project in the Jackson area now where we're going in with some of this new technology that we've talked about. But we want to go even further. We want to make sure that we're looking at doing things the best possible way, and make sure that what we do is as permanent as possible and as much of a protection of the investment of the taxpayers as possible, because people more than just the residents of Jackson utilize those facilities as they're driving through the capital cities, particularly on the interstates. You know.
Well, yeah, you know, and also it's not fair to the rest of the state.
Correct.
It's not fair to the taxpayers in South Haven and Biloxi to have to for their tax dollars to have to be used to fix Jackson's problem.
Sure.
And it's just aggravating for all parties involved.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can look at MDOT's budget and see money that it would be nice if good citizenship would keep us from having to spend a lot of the money we do. We spend several $1 million a year statewide on litter removal. That's something that, you know, just some good citizenship would prevent us from being able to have to spend that money, and we could put that money toward what the real mission of the Department of Transportation is. But you can drive throughout the state and find areas where Commissioner Wayne Brown, he's the late Wayne Brown now, used to live in Lucedale, outside of Lucedale. He used to say he was about one hamburger outside of Lucedale, because you could go down the 2-lane highway that he lived on, and right about his house there would always just accumulate a bunch of Burger King wrappers and stuff like that you could tell somebody would have bought it in town and get there and just throw it out.
The littering is one of my nitpicks. And Kim Wade does 4 to 6 here every day. Kim can't stand it either. It's just these people that would just litter. And I can get into a whole nother rant about these good folks from outside the city of Jackson that have made it their ministry to start. They come to Jackson, they clean up all the litter up and down the interstates. I'm like, I wish y'all would quit cleaning up after these people. They don't care. They're just going to litter again. But that's neither here nor there. The littering thing says a lot about a person. That's why when I always do my rants, I'm like, robbing, stealing, killing, drug dealing, and littering. Mm-hmm. I just look at them, they're all the same.
I remember when we're in the mowing season, we have a contract in place that individuals come through, and before we mow, they go through and pick up all of the litter so the mowers don't rip it all to pieces and make it more unsightly.
Or sling stuff out.
Right. One day I left the office, came through Waterworks Curve going home, and everything was clean. It had just been mowed. It looked great, and I really felt proud about the work that was done. Came back the next morning, same place, and someone had dumped out not hamburger wrappers, but a load of old, worn-out car tires just on the side of the interstate.
Brad, I was going through I-20 East the other day, right at Ellis Avenue, between the 220 merge, right there in front of the old Jackson State Ecom Center, right there, to the Valley Street curve of death, and I don't know how many garbage bags had fallen off of a vehicle, but it was enough that the entire interstate through that whole Ellis Avenue exit was just littered with trash. Right. I mean, it had to been dozens of garbage bags that had fallen off, gotten hit. It was a complete disaster. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about right here. It's like nobody cares. But the people who should care, the citizenry of Jackson that's most likely responsible for this, just don't care. And it's so aggravating when people ride through this, which has got to be one of the busiest interstate sections in the Southeast, where it's the only place where 55 and 20 split. Mm-hmm. And it's a dump.
Right. And, and I have to believe that it's a small percentage of the populace that contributes to this bigger problem, because most people like the area in which they live and sleep and stay to be presentable and nice. But it is an issue, and it costs taxpayers a lot of money every year to try to keep things not just clean, but from the vantage point of making sure that the rights of way are safe, that there's not debris or things there that if someone hits it or pulls off onto the side of the road, that it's going to cause some type of damage to a vehicle or even worse, cause some type of accident or something like that. So it's a constant struggle that our maintenance forces all over the state contend with to try to make sure that the right-of-way is as safe as possible, as clean as possible, and as kept as possible. But it's sometimes when money is short, it's a real struggle for us.
Let me ask you this, and I'm thinking about this in live time here. I'm not trying to do any gotcha stuff with you.
No.
These dump trucks that are constantly rolling around here, is it not state law they have to have a tarp over the top of these dump trucks?
Yeah.
And I put a new windshield on my Raptor because I got behind somebody that insisted on having a drag race with me on 220. Like they did not want to be behind me, no matter how fast I was going. And of course, a rock comes flying out at the back of one of these. It wasn't a dump. It was like an 18-wheeler that had an open top bed for hauling whatever. Rock comes out, breaks my windshield. They ain't got a tag, nowhere to be found. Mm-hmm. No marking. Maybe they had some a DOT number somewhere or something, but I could never find it because I couldn't catch up with them.
Right.
I've never seen a 18-wheeler that could go so fast.
No, but there are laws and provisions in place that's supposed to keep people from carrying loads and things like that on the roadway that could prevent some unsafe situations. Of course, law enforcement has the same problem that we do with trying to attend to all of the maintenance needs around the state, as they have resources that only go so far, and trying to have law enforcement presence everywhere is virtually impossible. And I know they do the best that they can with the resources that they have. But it is an issue, and ultimately it goes back to what we were talking about with work zone safety. It goes back to what we're talking about with litter. It goes back to what you talk about anything in a civilized society is responsibility of citizenship on behalf of the people that make up the populace.
Yeah.
So,
culture rot, as I call it. Let's take a break. We got some questions on the Guns and Gear text line and the live stream for Brad about some potential upcoming projects that I'm sure you want to talk about, that I'm excited to ask you about. And so we're gonna shift gears a little bit. I'm gonna quit picking on Jackson. for now. And we're going to shift gears to some positive stuff as y'all continually tell me I need to talk more about. We got Director of MDOT here in the studio, Mr. Brad White. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. You're live on WYAB. This segment brought to you real quick by our friends over at, man, how about my buddies right there at 042 Wine and Spirits. You know, we talk about them a good bit, man. It's the holidays. You know, we go into certain weeks where I'll talk about some sponsors more than others because I feel like there's some are more, you know, it's their time to shine. And, you know, it's like we'll talk about Watkins Construction and Roofing a lot when it's storming outside. We'll talk about Tri-County Tree Service a lot when it's storming outside. But as we roll into the holiday season, I know a lot of y'all are going to be enjoying in the spirits. And a great place to enjoy in the spirits, or a great place to get the spirits is 042 Wine and Spirits. Right there, Highway 80 in Crossgates, Brandon, right next to Sonny's Barbecue. You can't miss it. It's locally owned. It's award-winning. And they have a it's not that big of a place, but, man, they've got it stacked from floor to ceiling. And then they have a whole warehouse next door. They can go and get whatever they need. But they got over 400 different wines to choose from, over 200 different bourbons. Any of the other kind of liquors, they got 50 of this, 50 of that, gins, bourbons, tequilas, not bourbons, gins, tequilas, vodkas. I mean, you name it, they got it, man. If they don't have it, they can just about get it for you if you let them know. So swing by, check them out today. I was able to help a buddy of mine get an old bottle of Pappy from them the other day that that they had kind of stuffed back in the back. So just because you don't see it, don't mean they don't have it. And it don't mean they can't get it. So check them out, 042 Wine and Spirits, for all your holiday liquor buying needs. And swing by. I bet they got some good old gift boxes. I love the holiday gift boxes. Something that comes with some rocks glasses or some shot glasses. I love that stuff. If y'all want to get me anything for Christmas, I don't care what kind of liquor it is. I like brown liquor. I like tequila. I love Fireball. I'm cheap too. But if it comes with a couple shot glasses or some of those rocks glasses in a gift box, I don't care what it is. I want it. I love collecting that kind of stuff. I may never drink the liquor, but I love collecting it. It looks good on my bookshelf when I make my YouTube videos. But anyway, 042 Wine and Spirits. Brad White, let's talk about some positive stuff here, man. Some projects y'all got working on. My buddy Scott texted in on the Guns and Gear text line and said, "What about 6 lane in from Madison to Canton on 55?"
That is the next project that we have ready for construction. All of the pre-construction activities have been completed on that. What'll happen is we'll add a lane of traffic in both directions from 463 up to Gluckstadt. Then at the Reunion crossing over 55 that was just opened, we'll build the approaches to that and turn it into an interchange.
Oh, so you'll be able to get on and off there?
Right.
Great.
That's why we have to add the lanes. Federal Highway Administration would not allow that to be an interchange without the interstate being widened from Gluckstadt down to Madison. But MDOT has advanced that. We're construction ready. This is part of our capacity construction program. The legislature has been phenomenal to work with the last several years in providing some one-time money to advance these projects. This is the next one on our list, and we'll be working with our legislative leadership in hopes of securing the funding to be able to award that project. But as soon as we get the money, it's ready to go now. So
all the prep work has been done, all the environmental
pre-construction work is done, the utilities moved, the design's done, the right-of-way that was needed has been purchased. All we need is the money to build it, and we'll be able to award a contract and get moving on it. And I know that this is on the minds of all the legislative leadership as well as the governor that worked with us in the past of trying to move this program. And the way they've done it has made a lot of sense. We wanted to be accountable and transparent as possible. I'm a big believer in the best way to get what you want is to deserve what you want. So several years ago, we convinced the legislature to create a fund at the Department of Finance and Administration that's just named our MDOT Capacity Fund, and it's for these large construction projects that we were bringing to readiness, construction readiness, but didn't have the revenue to build them. And so we asked the legislature if you could start taking the one-time money that you have, and rather than putting them on reoccurring expenses, putting them in this account and allow us that as soon as we get a project ready, we can draw down from that account and put that project under construction and get it built. They like that idea, and they have been funding that since 2022. And to date, thanks to the legislative investment, we've invested about $1 billion in major construction all over the state, from the Tennessee line down to the Gulf Coast. And the next one on the list would be I-55 in Madison County, in the termini that you talked about. And we have several others from Highway 98 and the Interstate I-59 and all down in Forest County, Lamar County. We have I-20 over in Warren County. We've got other projects around the state, Highway 15 in Pontotoc County. We've got a lot of other projects in the queue. Highway 25 out in Rankin County, continuing that Lakeland Drive expansion on out into the county.
What's going on there?
We'll be widening it, adding lanes there, and improving the flow of traffic with that.
Because it goes back into 2 lanes once you get on the other side of Northwest Rankin, right?
Yeah, then it will go out. I forget the length of it, but it's we think will be probably about an $80 million project. That's one of the things that I don't think people understand is
and that's jumping in front of a need there. I mean, I'm not saying people who live out there in Pisgah may argue, but when I go through there, once you go to the other side of Northwest Rankin, it ain't that bad, really. But watching the growth of that area, it's going to get bad.
Well, and that's ideally what we would do. You would look at traffic projections, and we would build out through this capacity program a system that's prepared for future traffic growth so that you don't have the bottlenecks you have. And one of the reasons we fight the traffic we do now is the Department of Transportation's revenue funding model went nearly 40 years without being adjusted. 1987, the legislature adjusted the funding model in order to build a lot of the 4-lane highways that we have in the state. Not one nickel was provided for the maintenance of those highways. And it wasn't until this very last session that the legislature made any meaningful move toward repurposing that funding model in a way that gives us the recurring revenue that allows us to better meet our mission. So you had a period of time about 12, 13 years ago, the commission at the time had to make this decision. All right, well, we've got to protect the investment we have. We have to maintain the roads we've got. So all the money that we had to go into maintenance. And this big construction project that built things out looking at traffic construction was by and large just put on a shelf. And unless we receive some type of federal grant or direct appropriation of the legislature, no real big capacity projects were built for over a decade. And that's why if you go to I-55 in DeSoto County, you can't hardly drive up and down the interstate without major traffic. I-20 in Warren County, places through the metro area, places on the Gulf Coast, all throughout the state. You can have in these highly populated, highly traffic areas situations where we fell a little bit behind. But this legislature over the last 5 years, we have found great partners with them. The Governor Reeves stepped up several years ago and promoted an idea of building out our highway system in this way. And they have invested, like I said, over $1 billion in one-time money to projects like this that we have under contract. And then they also adjusted our funding model this past session that once fully implemented would give us another nearly $200 million a year with which we can purpose into these types of projects and try to provide the taxpayers a little bit of the transportation system that they deserve. But that's one of the reasons why you have some frustration around the state now is as soon as the legislature started giving us the money, we got it out to the streets as quickly as possible. So that's why everywhere you look, there's orange barrels out there, because finally, we went from starving to having some resources with which we could do some stuff with.
I'll take the orange barrels. That means progress. It's frustration. I get it. And it's about to get really bad in Brandon with that new flyover at the railroad tracks there by Pepsi on 18 and all that. But short-term sacrifice, long-term gain. And I'm looking forward to that. I got a text. What about any plans for widening Highway 471 out there in Rankin County, Brandon?
I think those have been looked at. I'm not familiar with anything that pulls up in my mind right now on the books. It's getting near construction. But that doesn't mean that we haven't started looking at some of the pre-construction activities.
That's one that I've looked at because I travel that one a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think about, okay, if they're going to do this, I don't know how you do it. I mean, I know right-of-ways and things can happen that my mind can't wrap around by the time you come in and start, making things happen. But you got some houses really close to the road there.
Right.
I mean, you got some really tight areas there that I think going to make it really difficult to go in and widen 471.
Well, and sometimes you have situations where, like in Highway 15 up in Tippah County, we had to have a totally new alignment of the highway.
Yeah.
It happened whenever Highway 49 was 4-lane back, 50 years ago, that it left its current footprint in order to do it a little bit more efficiently than what it could be done in the existing footprint of it.
And that's what my little pea brain can't always wrap around is major reconstruction.
Right.
But I think it's going to need it out there with the growth at some point.
I think you're right, and I think that's one example of many that we have around the state. I mean, everything, and this is why I think MDOT is one of the premier state agencies, and I'm so proud of the men and women that make up the MDOT family, because what we do matters. I don't care if you're talking about education, if you're talking about health availability, if you're talking about law enforcement, if you're talking about your first responders. If we don't have a transportation system that allows the school buses, the ambulances, the law enforcement, economic development for businesses to be able to get their goods and people in and out, if we don't have a transportation system to provide that, then all the rest of it's going to suffer. So I think that we are a very basic core function of government, and I'm proud that our political leadership's finally recognizing that and have started investing in it.
Look, everybody, they always talk about everybody knows somebody that's been lost to cancer. We all know somebody that's died in a car wreck or been severely injured in a car wreck.
My grandfather was.
I hate to hear that, man. And that is these roads being safer, wider, more. I love these new parkways that are coming through Rankin County, stuff like that. I guess that's what they're called, right? Parkways.
Yeah, West Rankin Parkway is ours. Is, to us, it's I think Highway 477. But
yeah, West Rankin Parkway. I love it. I drove through it the other day. Did a live video driving through it just to show people what it looked like. These are important thoroughfares for that area. What it opens up for potential development. I know Jake Wyndham is super excited about the potential future of what that parkway is going to do for rooftops out there in Pearl. So on and so forth. Connecting to Lakeland Drive, another connection to Lakeland Drive, which will ease traffic in other areas, choke points.
Right.
Just all these things add up, man. The airport parkway that comes up behind Cross Gates opening up. As a resident of that area, I love that because now I can do that instead of 471 if I need to, depending on where I need to pop out at. But I love seeing it all happen. We got about a minute left here, Brad. Any other big projects that you can tell us about in the Tri-County area? I think that's probably the most important.
I think we've hit most all of them, and we have examples throughout the state. And I'm just real pleased that the department's finally been given the tools and resources to get back into the business that our people like to do.
Have one more question. This is a good one from a listener. I think I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you. Why don't we see more inmates cleaning up on the side of the highways anymore?
Well, that's a program that we have that's offered to every county and every municipality. So it's a partnership. We don't have law enforcement at MDOT. We don't have the capability to take on the liability.
Y'all don't have jails either to go
managing
prisoners
inmates. But we do have an inmate litter program that's offered to all 82 counties. It's offered to every municipality, anybody, where we will provide bags. We'll provide the material needed to pick up. We even will help pay for the deputy's salary that's out monitoring the inmates as it's being done. We have litter coordinators that work for us all over the state that's their job is to work with these potential partners to try to develop that program. Some counties and some cities take full advantage of it and some don't. But it's something that's offered everywhere, and we would encourage anybody to reach out to their sheriff or their chief of police and see if that's an option, and we'd be happy to talk with them.
I like it. Let's take our last break, come back, land the plane for the day. Brad White, director of MDOT here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi Studios. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Seconds. Hey, guys, no point in dragging y'all back just to say goodbye. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. I know there were some glitches with the live stream. I can look at the fact that we only got 30 people left watching. There was obviously some problems with these new cameras, sucking a lot of memory, video cards, something. I'll get it situated, or we'll bring the old cameras back in. Appreciate y'all. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB as I land the plane for the day. Coming up next, we got our good friend, Mr. Andrew Gosser coming up next, you got Mike Madison. Then 10 to noon, you have Andrew Gosser, followed by Lindsey Beckham. But I think Matthew Bishop is filling in for her the next couple of days as her and Sean are going on a ski trip. And then 4 to 6, you got Kim Wade, Radio Strong Man. I'll be back here tomorrow to land the plane for the week on a faux Friday right here on WYAB. Guys, don't forget this Saturday, 7 to 10, Cypress Point Resort. It's breakfast with Santa. And then at 11 a.m., they're doing a safari ride with Santa. None of it's free. It's about 10 or 12 bucks for breakfast. It's $25 for the safari ride. But get out there and make some really cool memories with your kids at Cypress Point Resort. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow. Stay blessed.